I'm joined by a 4-time Pro Bowler, a linebacker for the Green Bay Packers, coming off another big season. In fact, in 4 NFL seasons, he has 42.5 sacks already. Clay Matthews is my guest. Clay, it's good to have you back. How are you?
Good to be back. I'm doing well, Jim.
Good, man. First things first, how was your offseason? What did you get up to, and did you get much time in the 818?
Yeah, offseason was good. I can't complain. Obviously, when you're out there in the 818, the Valley, life is good. So just spent a lot of time training back in the gym, little vacation here and there, but, focused on this year now.
All right, one of the things you did in the offseason, Clay, was sign a nice fat extension to the tune of 5 years, $65 million in new money. What does a contract like that represent to you? What's it mean to you?
I mean, I'm obviously very fortunate and blessed to have received the new contract, but I mean, even beyond the numbers, I think it shows the team, my team, the Packers, and how much they believe in me, being a leader for the next, 5-6 years here. So, I'm really looking forward to it and taking on the new responsibilities that this contract brings.
All right, talk about the new responsibilities. For instance, now that Charles Woodson is gone and you had that extension and there are new responsibilities, do you see yourself now as the face of the Packers defense? Is it your defense now, Clay?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I think it's time that, I rise up and show these guys through example. And I think I've been doing that the last couple of years. And now, it's not that I talk more or have more of a voice, but it's time to, have that respect level. And I think we have that here on that team. And hopefully the young guys look at me as such a leader and, put this thing in the right direction.
Clay Matthews, my guest. You just touched on it, I think, Clay. But Woodson, he's an all-time great player. He's an all-time great locker room presence. I mean, certainly that's a void when you lose a guy like that. How do you step up and fill that?
I mean, it's tough. Obviously, with a guy like that, his play speaks for itself. But ultimately, losing someone like that, you look up to him, just as he's always going to come through in the clutch. But now we got a few guys who are getting up there. I know I'm going into my 5th year now, so it's time for these young guys to step up and fill that void that veteran leaders had. So there's no excuses as to who's going to make the plays. I know I'll be called upon each and every game, but it's time for the rookies and second and third year players to continue to rise up.
Clearly that's a theme. I mean, you've said that to me a couple of times already today. I heard you say it on Saturday as well. Specifically, you're looking for the young guys to rise up, to step up. I mean, specifically, what are you looking for them to do?
Well, there's no time for, just veterans to make plays or playmakers to continue to make their plays. It's now time for these young guys to make a name for themselves. DBs, linebackers, defensive linemen. I know we're real excited about some of our draft picks, in years past, this year included. So it's just about continuing to improve upon that and improving this defense. Obviously, we got an outstanding offense, a great quarterback, who's going to take us where we need to go. But it's about filling our end of the problem and taking care of that.
Yeah, fact is the defense has taken a lot of heat the last couple of seasons. Do you feel like that criticism has been justified? Is it fair criticism?
Well, anytime you lose, especially in the manner in which we did last year, you're going to receive criticism. When you don't have another game to follow up and you're sitting here all off season. But I like it. I like where we had our first padded practice yesterday, and I like where our defense is at right now. And it's good. It was real chippy out there yesterday, and it's something different. So we like to think we have this edge going into the season, especially after the media, has deemed us as soft or anything else. But we're liking that, and I'm looking forward to this defense and what we're going to be able to do this year.
Clay, that's a reason to go generally. When you hear, quote, we're soft, how'd that make you feel?
Well, I obviously don't believe it, and hopefully these guys in the locker room don't believe it. So, as I said, after, OTAs and this first practice, I think soft is the last thing that's going to come to mind when you talk about our defense.
Clay Matthews joining us. You mentioned especially the way, quote, the season ended last year. I think you're talking about that loss to San Francisco, 45-31. Clay, Colin Kaepernick said that during the game he heard guys arguing in the defensive huddle over who was supposed to be doing what. Was there any of that going on?
No, I don't believe so. Obviously they had a great game plan. They executed it. He played out of his mind, both, running the ball and throwing it. So, more power to him as well as their team and, going on to the Super Bowl. But, obviously I don't think that's the case. We've been preparing all off season for a week 1 rematch in the offense that we're probably going to face. So I'm looking forward to our new game plan and the guys we have and getting a shot at them again because obviously, they represent one of the best teams in the NFC, NFL for that matter. And, we're looking forward to seeing where we stack up against them.
Yeah, and you get that shot in the first week, like without giving the whole thing away because you wouldn't, but what kind of adjustments do you make in dealing with somebody like that?
Well, we're just going to be a little more aggressive. We're not going to be the ones sitting back on our heels waiting for them to make the decisions. We're going to get after them and, hopefully we're going to take the fight to them, and that kind of takes them off their game plan.
We're talking to Clay Matthews. Hey, Clay, a number of teams lost guys for the season already with injuries over the weekend. There were a few ACLs. I mean, that's part of the deal. As a player, is it something that you notice, and do you do anything differently in camp because of it?
I don't. It is something that you notice going on around the league. I saw, Macklin and Pitta and, the center for the Broncos. So, it's unfortunate. It is part of the game, and I mean, it's also unfortunate, in certain years, contract years, I guess you could say, for some players. But ultimately, there's not a whole lot you can change. When you're on the football field, I mean, you give it all, and, you can't ever back off, and that's usually when injuries happen. So, for me, myself, as well as my teammates, I don't think guys really, shut it down when they're on the football field. I think you got to give, everything you have, and, I mean, it's kind of what we sign up for. It's unfortunate, but, with the rehab process now, those aren't career-threatening injuries anymore.
It's true. I wonder, it is what you sign up for, and I guess in a way, when you do what you guys do, it can be ripped from you in any given second. But, I mean, God, it's got to be the toughest thing. If you're Jeremy Macklin, for instance, to do all the work and put yourself in a position to be successful, and then not only to have it happen, but happen in a non-contact drill. I mean, how do you get leverage on that and put that behind you?
That's tough, especially, you look at someone like Crabtree and his Achilles injury when it has, there's no one's tackling you, there's no one falling on you. It's just, a freak accident that happens. It's difficult, but, ultimately, you'd like to think with the doctors and the advancements in medicine and all that's going on that, you can rebound and recover from this and come back. I mean, Adrian Peterson's a prime example of this last year. Not only come back, but excel. So, I mean, he's a great guy to look up to in regards to that. But, I think as athletes, we think we're invincible, and until that time comes, and you really have to put, your renewed focus on recovering as opposed to on the football field.
We're talking to Clay Matthews. Clay, your former teammate Greg Jennings said the other day that Aaron Rodgers has heard so much positive stuff that it's hard for him to be accountable when he makes a mistake. I know you saw those comments. What did you think when you heard that?
I didn't think much about it. Aaron's one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in the league. So obviously he's going to hear a lot of positive reinforcement. But he's been an outstanding leader on this team for years now, and we know what he's going to bring week in and week out, and how much he means to not only us as far as his play on the field, but as far as being a locker room guy. So we're not really worried about that. Obviously, when things don't go the way you want them to, and perhaps you go to another team, especially a division rival, you're going to have things to say that perhaps you should not say. But it is what it is. I'm sure we'll see them soon, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I was going to say, you think that rolls right off his back, or knowing Aaron and the memory he has, might he file that away?
We'll see post game when we play the Vikings the first time. But you can always count on Aaron when there's some type of locker room talk to make sure he remembers it.
Hey Clay, I haven't spent as much time back in the hood lately, but man, what do you make of all that Bieber stuff back in our neighborhood?
Yeah, I saw that. Keyshawn chasing him around, Bieber just speeding around. It's unfortunate, man. We just got these young Hollywood, these teens moving into the 818 and ruining it for us. For us guys who just want to get away, go to the Canyon Club, Wood Ranch, just enjoy a nice meal of food.
That is the best. You're exactly right, man. There goes the neighborhood. Clay Matthews, my guest. Clay, listen, great to get caught up. Thanks so much for doing that. We'll do it again soon, I'm sure.
Always appreciate it, Jim.
Good job, man. Thank you. When a guy just wants to get away and go to the Canyon Club or Wood Ranch. That is awesome. 818. #818.